Hi, welcome to the Brush and Boltgun. Today I'm going to be doing a short tutorial on how to paint Death Guard.
Right, so the first layer that we're going to do is the Seraphim Sepia wash, and that's just going to go over all the parts of the armour that are going to be sort of like the whitey cream colour. That's the main beige part painted up with the Seraphim Sepia, so we're just going to wait for that to dry and then we'll crack on with the armour colours. Okay, the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding Vallejo Flames of War Russian uniform, and it's just a nice green colour that I use for the shoulder pads, the knee pads, and any kind of like cloaks or cloth that they have on them. The next layer going to be using the Vallejo Model Air Chrome. I use that one because it covers every other colour when you put it on, so I'll be able to paint that straight over the white and I'll be able to cover everything. There we have all the silvers done. Okay, so we're going to be using Citadel Xereus purple. We're going to be doing all the tentacles and that kind of thing. Righty, with the bulk of the purples done, we're now going to go onto the Rakarth flesh, and that's going to be used for the bones and the teeth and the sort of spines that are coming out of him. So next up it's going to be the bronze for the shoulders, and I'll just get the trims of the shoulder pads all looking good. Okay, so this part we're going to be doing quite a few different colours on him, and it's mainly just the little bitty pieces. So you've got like the holster, you've got like the little bits of flesh here, the tube, his face. What else we got? The tongue, the little fleshy bits in the back of that, the tubes here. For this we are using Vallejo flat flesh, and it's quite a pale colour. So I'm going to see how that goes, rather than using a darker flesh and building up, and you're going to use a pale, so he looks really quite sickly once he's finished. Next is going to be German Cam Beige, the Vallejo colour, and it's quite a typical colour for me to use this. I don't know why, I just like the look of it on holsters and things. There's just going to be a bit of Vallejo Burnt Cad Red, which is like quite a dark red, and I'm going to be using this just to do little bits of tubing on the armour. Gives it a little bit of colour, but not enough that it takes your eye away from the main part. Now we're just going to put a little bit of Nurgling green on the little bloated areas that are poking out of his armour. I'm going to do a quick blend, get them blended into the purple, which is also poking out. It's just a mix of Xereus purple and Nurgling green. I'm just going to keep adding little bits of Xereus purple to that mix until it blends in quite nicely. Okay, the first thing that we're going to be doing is shading in all the chains and the chrome parts. We're going to be using Citadel Nuln Oil. That's a black shade. I'm going to be using that on each of these little parts. Next time we're going to be going for a Seraphim Sepia. Next I'll be using a little bit of Agrax Earthshade to just darken up some of the areas. This is especially good for using on the brass. Okay, the next colour we're going to add is a mix of Ushabti bone, the Citadel colour, and Vallejo white, but any white should work. So we're just going to do the armour plates with that. I'm just going to do part of it, and then I'm going to skip to the end. I'll show you the end result of it, and then we can work on the rest of it. The mix is watered down a bit, which means that when it dries, when you put it on, it doesn't give you a completely smooth finish. It gives you a finish which is a little bit mottled, a little bit streaky, and that just adds to the tarnish effect of the armour. The next part that we're going to be working on is the bone sections. We're going to be using Citadel Rakarth flesh on these, slightly watered down. that's that final part. I'm going to be going on to Ushabti bone now. I'm going to be going over those bone parts as well to finish them off. Now you have all the bone done. Okay, next we're going to be using Carroburg Crimson. We're going to be using that to do around the sort of like the areas that are going to be infected and inflamed, around the edges of these things, around the head here, just to get the reds a bit darker. There we go, well done. Right, next I'm going to be trying to shade down this a little bit and darken up the little creases around it. And that's just to save giving it a full wash and then building up the layers again. Might be able to do it that way. This is using Citadel Druchii Violet Shade. Next I'm going to be adding the boils and the pustules. I'm going to be using a mix of Citadel Averland Sunset, Yriel Yellow, and a tiny spot of white. If you come across any bits like this where you haven't put the red shade on, like the Carroburg Crimson, you can just go back over at a later point and just put the shade over the areas where the pustules are. Okay, the next part that we're going to be doing is just adding a little bit of a Druchii Violet wash to this area here, give it a little bit more depth and darkness in some of the recesses. And then what I've done is I've painted the wings of the fly, Vallejo Model Air Chrome. What I'm going to be doing is using a bit of the Citadel Technical Mephiston Red, just to paint the eye of the skull here and the one on the back. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just used a little bit of white on one of my old knackered brushes, which is this one. As you can tell, it's not got no point on it, and all I've done is I've dragged that, used a little tiny bit of white on it and dragged that across the edges ever so carefully, and that gives you a nice little highlight along the edges there and brings it out. And once I paint that with gloss varnish, that'll bring it up, like make it really, really deep, and it'll look quite glassy. So that's the reason I've done that for it. Right, next we're just going to highlight a few little bits of the brass using Liberator gold for this. I'm just going to add a little bit of Waystone green to the wings, just to give it a few little different colours, a bit of a hue to it. And finally just a tiny little bit of red for a bit of a different colour on there. This is Spiritstone Red. Okay, the final steps for this that I'm going to do is I'm going to add some Citadel Nihilakh Oxide, and all we want to do is add a little bit of this around the joints and the creases. If you put too much on, don't worry about it too much, you can just pick it off with your brush. I'm just going to do a little bit of Rakarth flesh on the head here. And the final part we're going to do tonight is just to add a few little spots of rust using Citadel Dry Riser Rust. All we're doing is the areas where we've used the Sepia. And when you get the riser rust on your brush, it's always good to wipe off the excess with a bit of tissue. So you're just adding a little bit to it. You don't want to put it on too thick, or it can look a bit shabby. Remember, if you do go over any edges or anything like that, you end up getting a bit of rust on the green or somewhere that you don't want it. Just carry on with the model, and then when you're done, just go back and tidy up the edges or the little areas that you've done that on. There we go. I'm going to call it a day on there. And that is how to paint the Death Guard. What you can do is, if you want to corrode them up more, put more gore on them and things like that, there's a couple of other videos which I'll link below that you can use for that, that we've already done, and that'll make the armour look a whole lot dirtier, make him look as though he's really been through the wars, not cared about his armour and that kind of thing. So I'll link those below for you. But that is it.
Thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed the video and found it useful, please think about subscribing to the channel and give us a thumbs up below. It does help us out a lot. Also think about subscribing to some of our other social media, which is all linked below. Thanks a lot.